Welcome back to our Kaiju Labs South by Southwest 2021 coverage with your favorites, Gavin and Jessica. I have absolutely had a blast today again with you doing all this. We just watched our first documentary, The Oxy Kingpins. This is a documentary that I thought was going to be about the pharmaceutical companies that started the opioid crisis, whereas instead it's about a law firm suing them in Nevada and how they're suing them and who they've contacted. It was really eye-opening because we all know about the opioid crisis, but we don't really think about it. And I know about it because Phil deals with chronic daily pain on about a level 7. He has to go see a chiropractor, and no one will give him any sort of pain medication. And they always claim the opioid crisis. Like, they will not help him. And I know 2 other people that are in the exact same boat. They're legitimately in need of help, and no one's going to help them because everyone's too afraid because of the Oxycontin thing. Wow, Jessica. Like, can I just ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Are you as excited that the official trial is next month and we're like a month away from being able to watch this trial?
Yeah, I was like, "Oh shit, this is happening April 2021." Okay.
Yeah. Like, okay, so I also feel bad because I don't watch the news. I will read some news sites a couple times a week, and it's always political stuff. There's never any real news things. So when I watch these documentaries,
Breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I watch documentaries like these crime documentaries, I feel bad that I didn't know about this stuff. Like,
You
I
didn't
should
you didn't know about the
know.
opioid crisis or
Well, I did,
opioid?
but I didn't know what was going on with it. Just like when I watch these crime documentaries of things that have happened like last year, I have no idea. And it's like I'm just uninformed, but I just stay away from the news because it's all political, and I think the political side of things starts to bury the serious side of news. Like, I love C-SPAN. I will put C-SPAN on at work and watch it all day when things are going on. And I remember watching that session. And I was like, yeah, I remember that. And they're like, no, we're not responsible. No, we're not responsible. And I love when the drug dealer guy was like, everybody paid their dues except for the ones responsible. And they want to call themselves gangsters. Like, it's infuriating.
It's really infuriating, but it's easy to catch the drug dealer on the street. It's easy to catch, the person who doesn't have bodyguards, who isn't surrounded by money. It's harder to catch these CEOs and presidents and CFOs of these major corporations who have millions of dollars to be able to get away with it. I mean, it's the same story over and over and over again. When you look at any fucking crisis that's happened, the people who are really responsible, the big people in charge, they don't pay their dues. They don't go to jail. They're not caught. And all the people under them are.
Yeah. It's I think of these conversations people have had in the past few years about the capitalist system and how people think it's just this great thing and other people are like it's broken. This is a very good sign of how broken it is because it's allowed to run around unchecked. Because the other thing I noticed was everyone responsible are some seriously old white people.
Always.
And
Always. White
all of
men. White men.
it's awful to say, but it's the truth. And all of these people in the Senate who are talking to them are all old white people as well. And it's like, where are the younger voices making these people held responsible? It's an institution, and maybe it's just a show right now to make it look like they're doing things because those pharmaceutical companies are backing half of those politicians.
Totally.
And so it just infuriates me infuriates me to think that we have kept this system alive for so long, and now we are starting to realize all of the harm from it, from not just this, but all sorts of things. Like this whole year in COVID really opened a lot of people's eyes that you don't have to be sitting in an office 24/7. People are losing their jobs, and the government's like, oh, fucking well, here's a check once and here's a check twice. Maybe you're lucky. And the viewpoints of those in charge of, well, if they don't have an incentive to go to work, no one's going to work. Well, working shouldn't be your entire life. And it's just, this movie just makes me think of all of these things that have been going around since, I'm going to just say it, Trump.
Yeah, totally.
And even before that. But like I said, when Trump won, people are going to pay a lot more attention to politics now. And sure enough, they fucking did. And so it's just like, there's all these people in power making these excuses to cover themselves and to keep the system in place and delay. They were talking about the delay tactics. Like, I love the two lawyers in Nevada. How do they say it? How are you supposed to say it? It's not Nevada, it's Nevada.
Nevada.
In Nevada, who are like, man, they tore the whole. I laughed too because it's these two lawyers suing the entire industry, and everyone in the industry has their own fucking lawyer present. So it's like going down a lineup of, I'm here for Walgreens, I'm here for CVS. Like, this is a joke.
Well, they're trying to protect themselves. It's so gross. Like, the main guy, McKesson, he's like worth 700 million or some shit.
Yeah.
It is just mind-blowing that these old white men who are 100% responsible for this opioid crisis will probably never go to jail. Look at Trump. You think Trump's actually going to do jail time?
No.
And I'm not. Trump has nothing to do with the opioid crisis, and within the context of what we're speaking about, and looking at looking at this documentary. But I'm just saying, like, if you're old, rich, and white, and a man, you're gonna get away with a lot. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. We, like, in that other point, like, you've got like people of color who, get caught with weed, and they go to jail for life.
Yeah,
weed, which is legalized in some states in our country.
They talked about that in this documentary, like how unfair the system is, and no one's changing it because those in power are just delaying things. Because I don't know what, I guess it's because I've never had power, but I can't imagine that fear you must have to think that you're losing your little bit of power. Like, Phil always says, what are we going to do if we ever have a lot of money? I said, I'm still going to live in a small house. I'm still going to get up and go to work, because that gives your life meaning. It gives you something to do. I don't want this big extravagant house. Like the guy's like, I bought a house on the beach in Miami had all my bros in there, and every day was a party. I was like, I could not imagine the stupidity of that lifestyle. Like, you were inviting problems. And
yeah, it was pretty upsetting. I knew it was going to be upsetting because it's going to be about like the old white men getting away with everything. I wonder what's going to come out of the trial next month. But
so, for those that need to know, the reason they went to Nevada is because they have a particular set of laws there that you cannot classify anything as protected or secretive in any of your work if it's related to a health crisis. So that's why they started there, because the companies can't blanketly statement things and black stuff out, saying it's because they hide everything. I don't even know how they got some of these emails they were going through, but I was mortified at the, yeah, they're addicted, just like eating Doritos, whatever.
LOL.
Yeah, the general lack of care. I don't understand. I can't understand that mentality of just not caring about other people. Not
because
knowing that
you're
what you
not
do.
that person. They become, I always say this word wrong, desensitized. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
When you have that much money and power, people then become just sort of like chess pieces to you. You really are a fucking sociopath. I have this conversation with my parents sometimes. I've had this conversation actually with a lot of friends. I may even have talked to you about this before, where it's like I have clinical debilitating anxiety. It's bad, and I've got lots of anti-anxiety medication, which are controlled substances, and I don't like taking it. I don't like taking my prescribed medication for my anxiety because I don't really have an addictive personality, but I don't know, my anxiety's that bad and it gets worse all the time. I don't like taking it. It is highly addictive. In fact, it's like the most addictive controlled substance you can take for anxiety, which is sold on the street all the time. So, like, I wish I could smoke weed. I'm actually allergic. But I would much rather put something natural into my body because I would be responsible about it. If I'd much rather put something natural into my body, which would help me control my anxiety, which would help me sleep, and I wouldn't become addicted to, because I'm not looking to become addicted to anything. I'm looking to help manage my anxiety levels instead of taking Xanax. Oh my God. And it's like when I go to the doctor, come on, baby, let me let you down. When I go to the doctor, obviously we're not talking about medicinal marijuana because we live in Texas and that's not available here. But we talk about, well, how are your anxiety levels? And if I want another bottle, I can get another bottle. And I'm like, it's like easy for me to get it, but my doctor also heavily monitors, like, she knows my history and like what I take every month. So it's, my point is that, I wish there were other alternatives to pain, and specifically what I'm talking about, aside from Klonopin and Vicodin and, these highly addictive medications. I fucking wish we could get medicinal marijuana legalized in our country. I promise you, motherfuckers, the crisis of, because I know it's like the opioid crisis was from what, 2008 to 2019. It's not over. It's not like this particular thing they're talking about, which they're going to finish up hopefully in trial next month, is like that was that time period. But trust me, lots of people are still addicted to fucking Vicodin. Lots of people are addicted to Xanax and other controlled substances to help with anxiety and pain. And it's like, we don't have any other fucking options. If I'm particularly anxious, I do what my doctor says. I take my prescribed medication because I have to. I fucking have to function. I have a legitimate clinical problem with anxiety. So it's like that's why I go to a doctor. That's why I get a prescribed, medication to help me. But man, I don't like it. I don't want to put that into my body because ultimately it's not really good for me. But what else am I supposed to do?
I 100% agree with you. I'm the same way. I don't like to do that stuff. But the other thing they talked about in this documentary, which I understand, is the racial side of things. Because I had dental surgery while COVID was happening because it was the perfect time to have it. And they, without a thought, gave me Vicodin, here for pain. I took like one or two, and I hated the way I felt.
Oh, I hate Vicodin. I know.
I hated the way I felt. It just was whatever. But they get no problem because I'm about as white as fucking Casper right here, right? And that's not saying anything against my doctors. I love my doctors. But Phil also has massive anxiety issues, and he sees a therapist and a psychologist at least once a month for these things. And because Phil had a sister who was an addict, they will not prescribe him but like 6 Xanax at a time if he's lucky. And he doesn't take them he gets Xanax makes him a little crazy and just like giddy like a child. So he doesn't like taking them. But sometimes because of his job, because he works for the state and CPS, he gets really fucking anxious. and he'll have
Yeah.
to take one. And that evening, he's just kind of out of it, but he doesn't know how else to handle it because it is a clinical thing. But because he's brown and there's a history of in his one person's family being an addict, they just say no, just flat out no. They don't look at him; they just say no. And
Well, they also probably look at him too. I mean, Phil is not white.
yeah, he's brown, and no one will send him to a pain doctor. He has had the epidural, he's seen the neurologist, he's had the MRI dye scans, he's had everything. They know he has degenerative disc disease. They know there's things wrong, but because surgery won't fix it, oh well, and they send him on his way. So my friend that's a doctor said, tell him that next time they want him to go somewhere, send him to this place. I know these doctors, they will help him. So he went and said, I need to. They were at the point where they're like, okay, we do want to send you a pain doctor. He goes, I need to be sent here. I hear these people will help me. Oh, no, we're going to send you this other place. So he went to this guy, and the guy goes, oh, I don't believe in pills. I believe in yoga and deep nerve injections, which at his age would cause major damage. Just by looking at him. This is what the guy told him. And I could go, and they just fucking send me to wherever I want to go. So
I know. My one of my closest friends is African American, and he suffers from depression and anxiety. And one time he called me and he's like, I just have this really weird question to ask you. And I was like, lay it on me. And he goes, when you started seeing a therapist and a psychiatrist for your depression and anxiety, how quick were they to prescribe pills? I was like, well, I left with a prescription. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I said, there's never not a time when I have an appointment with my psychiatrist where we go over not only how I'm feeling, because they are 30-minute appointments. Do I need refills? How am I feeling on my medication? Do we need to change my dosage? We talk about all that. And then I get my refills. I mean, that's why I have my psychiatrist. He goes, I have been in therapy for a decade. And I've not had one doctor who will prescribe any medication for me. And he said, I ask about it. I say, I'm kind of willing to try something. And the doctor always, and he's had multiple different therapists, the doctor always steers away from the conversation and like goes toward more holistic things. And my friend has never had one prescription for anxiety. And he's like, and I don't want to necessarily, I don't want to beg for it because then the doctor's going to think I have a problem. And I'm like, that's fucked up because I have begged for it. I've been like, look, I am down to 20. I have used up my 30-day prescription. I specifically made an appointment with you to get my refill. I don't really have anything to talk about. And they'll still talk with me because it is that by law, they have to give me a 30-minute appointment. But I'm like, I just need refills. Got my refills done. And I'm like, sounds like because you're black and I'm white, let's just fucking call it what it fucking is. And it makes me so angry. Oh my God. I can't even because my friend is my best friend of 20 plus years. All right. I fucking know this person. This person's the love of my life. Fucking seriously, the love of my life. And it's like, you're going to tell me he can't, and and this also sounds racist, what I'm about to say, but he's like an educated, well-spoken black person. I shouldn't have to fucking say that. It doesn't fucking matter that he's what fucking color he is, what his fucking race is. But I even have to say this and go, he's well-spoken and educated and speaks really well. And you can tell he's really smart and he still can't get a prescription. I shouldn't fucking say that, right? Doesn't matter what's wrong with someone who doesn't have a lot of money, who also can't get pills to help them. But because they're not fucking white. I'm sorry. This is such a Gavin. This is such a trigger for me. This is such a trigger for me.
This whole documentary was triggering, and it's been happening for longer than Oxycontin. It's been happening
yes.
so long, And like I said, we're now starting to really examine things about our life and our country. And I love that fact. I love that fact that these guys can't hide because they called them out at the end. They let you know who they were, what they worked for.
Yeah, but who cares? Gavin, who cares? Who gives a
Yeah.
shit? Who gives a shit? They don't care. They've got
They
fucking
don't.
mansions, boats, cars, fucking bodyguards. There's no comeuppance. There's no culpability. These dudes get fucking away with everything, and it fucking makes me so mad.
I'm hoping I'm going to find out how to watch parts as much of that trial as possible next month. I'm hoping it starts to come down. I'm hoping this is the first domino that'll start to bring it down because they're going to scramble and watch what'll happen because it happens all the time. As soon as the domino starts to get knocked, some sort of laws will get passed somewhere. As soon as this stuff happens, and I'm hoping that we're at that point in time where this domino gets knocked over. Someone's going to try to pass some of these laws, but we have enough. I want to say enough common sense people coming up into the Congress and Senate now that are going to be like, this ain't going to fly. They're a lot younger. They're not the old guard. It's like, I'm just going to say it. I love AOC. That woman is fucking awesome. I follow her on social media. I watch her videos. I watch how
love
she
her
talks.
too. I love
She did
her
a whole
too.
thing about this is why the COVID relief came across this way. This is why we made these compromises. Like she explains it to the world. She's transparent. A lot of them are starting to be more transparent. So yes, that is what we need. But like my biggest problem is I do not understand how in high school, early high school, I wrote to Lloyd Doggett as a senator as a class project. And here I am, like 30, 40 years later, he's still there. Like, how is there not some sort of limits? How is there not some sort of oversight to these things? Like, this documentary brings up a lot more than just this because yes, a million times yes, this is a triggering subject, and they presented it very, very well.
They did. I really hope this gets a fucking national release.
Phil will buy it. I guarantee you he will buy this one. He loves buying documentaries, and this is one he will definitely buy because it affects him. He cannot get the help he needs because of this.
Because he's brown.
He's brown, and well, you're right. Because I have a friend that's in the same situation. He's got degenerative bone disease in his neck. He's got pain meds, pain doctor, everything, and he's white. You're fucking right. They have the same exact state insurance. Same exact state insurance. You're right. God, that fucking sucks.
It's really, really upsetting.
The things people don't think about is how that affects their life and their relationships. I cannot tell you how this affects our relationship.
Honey, I fucking understand what you're saying, and I'm really sorry. It's got to be really hard on both of you.
It does. Because there are days where he can't get out of bed, and there's nothing that I can do. And there are days where we will have plans, and he will try to push himself through for the pain so that we do something. Like, don't force yourself. There are days where he will be fine, and later on the day, it just crashes on him because he did too much. We have a harder time getting him to walk through the grocery store because he has to push the cart because it's inherited. His brother's already had multiple back surgeries for it, and his whole family had it. They got it from his mom. So all the kids have it, and it's only going to get worse. And he went ahead and paid all of this money to the place here that did the MRIs and the dye scans and the epidurals and all of that for 3 weeks just for them to say, oh, well, it's not surgery worthy. We can't do anything for you. Just send him out the door like nothing. And so.
Because they don't want to be responsible.
Yeah.
In case this brown person that they don't know, in case this brown person gets addicted to be part of that ratio, to be part of the problem, and have it come back to them.
So I'm going to get real here. Mona was Phil's sister, and she had mental problems as well.
Are you sure you want to talk about this?
Well, I'm just going to say this is one of the things that happens. She would have to buy stuff off the street, and that's what killed her. That was a primary thing that killed her. She died of a drug overdose on our porch.
Yeah.
She had to buy because her doctors weren't actually helping because she was brown, because she had a history of addiction when she was a teenager. And so, as many problems as I had with her, this is one of the main reasons that this happened. And so that destroyed a family. And watching this documentary saying 700,000 people have died in the past, 8 years from this?
Yeah.
All of those are destroyed families.
Oh,
that lawyer who said, Nevada is my state. I know families from grandparents to the parents to the kids who are all addicted and their lives are ruined.
Yep.
This is because of corporate greed. Corporate greed runs capitalism. You can say I'm wrong, you can say I'm right. I don't care. That is what runs this capitalist society. Am I saying we need to abandon it? No. There are plenty of good things about it. But when it stops you from helping the people, helping the country, and doing what's right for the populace as opposed to a few, then it's not the right system. I hate the fact that I'm just waiting for the old guard to die off. I'm waiting because we are in a generation now, as much as we may have problems with it, they're understanding the better good of themselves and the general whole. They know they've been fucked by the boomers and their credit creation system. They know that we inherited this fucked up world from people who didn't give two fucks about the future or anything but themselves, including our parents. So it's going to start getting better because I worry about the future my kid's going to have to face when I'm not here, or any of his kids after that. This movie was fucking amazing. And look at this conversation we had.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really well done. And as all documentaries go, documentaries obviously are biased. I mean, even if a documentary presents nothing but facts, they're going to present it based on the views of the documentarian. However, I didn't feel so manipulated by this documentary. I wasn't in there looking to blame anybody. It was called Oxy Kingpins. I knew it was about the Oxy fucking disaster. I knew what it was about. But I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know. And I feel like I came out of it going, oh, so that's what happened. And I feel like Googling after this conversation, after seeing this documentary, what I find just by reading facts on what happened is not going to be different than the documentary we just watched. Like it was very, like, it wasn't just like, oh, this is from the documentarian's perspective, God damn these old white men. It really wasn't, that's my fucking takeaway, but that's not what this person was saying. It was just presenting here's when we went to trial, here's who's at fault, here's who was arrested.
There's a major difference between this documentary and the Kevin Smith documentary yesterday. Was very opinionated. This one was very truth-based.
Well, that was what are those called? Kevin Smith one, biopics? Isn't that called a biopic? Yeah,
more of a biopic.
I would rather have seen the Kevin Smith documentary directed by someone not Kevin Smith, because I think you and I would have gotten what we wanted. But that was Kevin Smith directing Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith loves himself. Not that he doesn't deserve the love. He's apparently a wonderful friend and we know he's a great director, and he makes these really quirky, odd fucking films. But yeah, it was nothing but this was like, here's the crisis. Here are the people who are at fault. Here are the people who have been accused. Here are the people who serve time. Here are the people who haven't served time. And you can look up any of the numbers that they threw out at the end, somebody's net worth. You can fucking research that for yourself and verify that that's exactly what the documentary said. So it didn't fill my head with like the perspective of the documentarian just wanting to get their voice and their piece out there for what they think the opiate crisis was. No, this was fucking accurate.
Yeah. So that was Oxy Kingpins.
I need a palate cleanser.
I think we're going to make this our last stream of the day, and we're just going to watch movies for fun the rest of the evening.
I say, well, I will talk, but I think I'm going to need to do music after this. I mean, I'm just I'm fucked up, man. That was just really hard.
We'll be back later tomorrow afternoon for our pre-show, and we're going to watch a bunch of stuff tomorrow. But I think it's just time to just not worry about doing press and just enjoy some stuff. So you watch some music. I'm going to go take a shower, watch some other stuff, and we're just going to call it a night right now, but still watch
All right, but I'm still going to check in with you because I love you and I want to make sure that you're okay. I know this was tough.
Yeah, you can message me like tomorrow when we do our pre-show. We'll talk a little bit about what we decided to just have fun with this evening, but that's one of the things is when we're trying to cover as much as possible, sometimes you just want to let loose and have a little bit of fun and not worry about it. And I think we've done a shit ton of coverage so far.
We have.
Let's just take the night off and just do whatever we fucking want.
Sounds good.
So that's it for today. Thank you again. We'll be back tomorrow. I got to check into work, so we'll be a little bit later tomorrow. And then I think tomorrow night you're going to an event, right?
Yes, I'm going to a presentation by one of my favorite schools in Austin. They're called Data Geek, and they give classes and workshops and also have showcases and exhibits for artists who produce this very specific kind of art, which is based in light installations. And I am all about light installation art. In fact, I was going to fucking take a class. I had fucking saved up the money. I was all ready to do it. It was a class that was coming up and COVID hit. It was a programming class because I love light-based art, light installation. I love it so much. I seek it out. I go to everything I can find that's got light art in it. And I was going to take a programming class, and then COVID hit. And then they offered the class during COVID, and I was like, I can't. I get that everything's online now. I get that, but I really need hands-on. Like, I need the person to sit with me because I am not a programmer at all. And so, like, I probably need to have a tutor as well.
You know who is a programmer? Phil.
What does Phil not do?
He runs the IT shop for foster care for the state. He's in charge of the systems. He knows Java. He knows SQL. He's learning something else, and he's self-taught. So,
oh man, I really, I know we're trying to close this up, but I really envy people who can I'd like to learn C++. I don't even know if C++ is still a widely used program. I have no idea. And they read a book. And then they're like, oh, I know C++ now. And it's like, the programs that they would teach you at this school, which is what I was going to fucking learn. I've never heard of any of them. I mean, I'm an actor, singer, improver, personality, anime voice actress person. I'm not a programmer. That doesn't mean someone like me can't be a programmer, but it was absolutely new territory. I was super nervous. I was super excited. And I love light installation art. It is my jam. And so anyway, Data Geek, the name of the school, they are having not like a mixer because it's socially distanced. Everyone's got to wear a mask, but they're going to have and I've been to these before. They're so amazing. They have DJs that kind of spin and you can kind of walk around, and they're going to have some art up. And so, I got to check out my comfort levels and see how I feel. I am vaccinated. So that makes me a little bit more comfortable to go, but I'm going to try to see how I feel and try to go and get out a little bit, because the stuff they've been doing during COVID, it's been online and I've gone to it. I've supported it. I bought tickets and whatnot, but this is actually in person. So I'm going to see if I can go to it. I'm super excited.
Meanwhile, I'm just going to my niece's birthday party.
Does she know C++?
No, but Phil's going to start teaching our son coding soon, because he's 15 and he really likes that kind of stuff. So once he's more comfortable coming out, because he's such an introvert, they're going to start probably doing some online lessons for coding to get him started up. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, so that's been our night. It's been super fun. Dog has just loved it. She's been just over there cruising and chilling.
Yeah. I've had mine up here with me a lot today.
She was kind of mad I wasn't on the couch with her. Like, I should send you a picture. She's like this, covering her face on the couch. Like,
Aww.
yeah, she's been loving it outside. So we'll be back tomorrow. So you guys have fun.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna go have fun now.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Have a great night.